Hey guys, just with Camp Perspective, and we're back with the little pack walk. Got 4 dogs today. It's been a while, so I'm a little rusty. We got Ozzy, who we've not trained. We have Bogey, who we have trained. Willow, who of course is in training, and then Kodiak, today's his last day. He's dog reactive, and we're just kind of showing how far we can push a dog if you have the right know-how and the right tools. Of course, it's not a perfect process. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be steps forward and steps back. But if we don't move past those hiccups, again, we never get from point A to point B. Now, the way he behaves with us and the way he behaves with his owner would be completely different, of course, because he empowers, or she empowers him. She gives him something to protect. She's his family. And we got to remember that dogs are instinctual creatures, they're primal. So if we're not taking the leadership role, someone has to fulfill it. So if the human isn't fulfilling it, then of course the dog will. It's just part of nature, it's part of instinct, because technically speaking, if no one's in charge of the safety of the pack's in danger. So that's why the dogs typically will fill this role, even if they're not equipped for it. So if you have a dog that's a weaker dog personality-wise, not confident, fearful, nervous, anxious, they still fill the role. The issue is they're not built for it, and it puts them under stress, and that's where we start to see things kind of spiral, because they're going, I'm not supposed to be doing this. This isn't my job. I'm doing it because I have to. And they get stressed out. The anxiety comes through. The fearfulness comes through. Sometimes they overcompensate, they're not thinking clearly, and that's why things are hard to recover from. But once we start to give discipline, hold the dog accountable, consequence, hold them to a standard, we start to see progress, because the dog goes, this is no longer my responsibility. I can start to relax. Let's move through here. How you doing, sir? So because Kodiak's first impression with us right away was consequence, and I'm not going to let you get away with this, he has that impression. So on the handoff, knowing that he was going to guard his owner, I purposely put Kodiak under pressure. I made contact with him knowing that he was going to trigger, corrected his reactivity. We're going to go straight, and then we're going to go that way. Corrected his reactivity, ended up going from 75 to 80 before he finally cut it out. And then he allowed me to grab him and then go with the owner, because I had snapped him out of the territorial mindset. So that was his first impression. He's like, okay, I tried to do what I normally do. Jesse didn't allow it. I was corrected. I was given consequence. And I went where he needed me to go to get him to stop. So all of that, again, he's learning. And he's thinking, well, if I can't get away with stuff, I better keep myself in check. So it makes our jobs easier because it's the first impression. Now, does it mean that he was perfect the rest of the time? No, he did have a few flare-ups in the first 48 hours, but then after the first 2 days, he was pretty easy peasy, and even started showing his softer side, first to myself and then some of my staff. Does great with the obedience stuff, but now I know when he goes back to the owner, because he's going back to his home base, he's going to fall into old habits. He's going to try to protect her. He's going to try to guard her. That's where the follow-ups come in. I work with her to correct his behaviors, to push his boundary, so to speak, push him out of the comfort zone, go out of her comfort zone. And then from there, all the stuff that we've established starts to transfer over, because then he realizes, okay, mom is also on the same page as Jesse and his staff, and my nonsense is no longer tolerated, okay? So I think it's important to note that when dogs do things that we don't want, a lot of the time, it comes from a good place, so to speak. So his reactivity over his owner, his territorialness, you know, he's guarding her. And if we were to switch the context from a friend trying to approach her versus a complete stranger or a person who intends to do harm, and he reacts that same way, it's going to be seen 2 different ways, and you're going to go, yeah, that way. You know, if someone was trying to do her harm and then he bit that person, he would be praised because he protected her from harm. But if that person is a friend and he bites them, obviously that's going to be looked down upon because it's a friend, but he's not really differentiating that stuff. So that's where the human comes into play, and because the human has to be the dog's logic, tell him this is not a person that you need to be guarding me over, so on and so forth. But I think it's important to note that stuff because a lot of people can get frustrated with their dog's behavior. I'm like, well, if you look at it instinctually and if you look at it from a dog's point of view, it makes sense. So for example, there's a couple YouTube videos, one of a young lady, I think she was 17 at the time, who got attacked by a couple of dogs when she was trying to walk them when the owners were out of town. It's a very bad story. In the comments, a lot of people comment on like, oh, the dogs were trained, this was a setup, so on and so forth, poor girl. And in another video where a dog, or a couple of dogs, attacked and killed a burglar, everybody were praising the dogs, saying that they did such a good job, so on and so forth. And they're in the exact same situation. The difference is the person who was attacked in one case was a paid dog walker, and in another case, it was a burglar, right? So I just think it's interesting to note that we had the exact same behavior, going straight back, in both cases, but because of who the target was, completely changed how the humans viewed the situation. So part of my job is to help people understand dogs on an instinctual level, see the world, from how they see it, hence the name Canine Perspective. Training the dog, of course, giving the owner the tools required to continue their dog's progress, and then be able to have the best life possible with their dog. We have to remember that if we have a reactive dog, we have a reactive dog, and the reactivity goes away because the owner is doing a good job of addressing the issues and holding the dog accountable, so on and so forth, but the dog is still a reactive dog. If we ever are lenient or complacent, behavior starts to come back because the dog goes, you're no longer displaying leadership qualities, you're becoming lazy, so on and so forth, and then old dog comes back. It's so much like if we take a person who's an alcoholic and they quit drinking, they're still an alcoholic, and if they're to put themselves in the wrong situation, they may relapse. So our dogs are reactive dogs or what have you, and they're doing well because the owner is doing well about implementing and keeping consequence and structure. So just want to give some insight on dog behavior. I think it's stuff that's ignored a lot in the dog training world. I don't think it's really explained to that level other than like Cesar Milan. I don't keep up with a lot of dog trainers like I used to, but the ones that I see on my feed, it's usually the same stuff, obedience, 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 but not really explaining the dog's behavior on a primal level. You're gonna go here? Yep. On a primal level, and that's what I try to do, because we have to remember that this is a relationship between the dogs and the human. It's not as simple as I'm the human and I get what I want. We do have to remember the dogs have their own needs and wants, and it's gonna be a balance of what the human needs and wants and what the dog needs and wants, and then we meet in the middle, and this way everybody is happy. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective. Thanks for joining us on this pack walk.